Right, everybody, I'm gonna call the committee of the whole meeting to order for April the 1st, 2024. We have Mayor Smook on Zoom. Councillor Oberdorfer is in Florida en route to her hotel, and you'll see her jump in during the meeting. I'd like to recognize this evening that we are on Treaty 5 territory, ancestral land of NCN Cree Nation, and that we are all treaty people. I'd like to start by an approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Fitzpatrick, the seconder, Councillor McIver, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. We have a delegation this evening. 4.1 is Mr. Oswald Saw from the Thompson Neighborhood Renewal Corporation regarding 335 Juniper Drive. You are welcome to come to the delegation table. You know the drill. You got 10 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mentioned my name is Oswald Saw. I'm the executive director for the Thompson Neighborhood Renewal Corporation. I came here because I was talking to City Manager last week. We were looking to see where the land transfer was at in regards to 335 Juniper. Since the TNRC has signed off on the agreement that was drafted by the city in regards to the repayment of the back taxes and interest. I was advised that there was some concern by some members of council in regards to the ability for 335 Juniper to be able to cash flow the expenses, including the back tax payments. So what I advise city managers, I believe there's some confusion as to what the intent of the TRC is in regards to that house going forward. So he asked me if I can come forward to maybe clarify and to answer any questions, which by all means I'll do both. In regards to 335 Juniper, as you guys are aware, there was substantive damage to that house due to water break. When I took over as ED back about a year and a half ago, one of the main things I was focused on is getting that house remediated so it can be used for low-income housing. We did over the last year and a bit get a total of about 250,000 in grants to remediate that house, and is currently in the process. It'll be done by, we're estimating by late April, early May, the full remediation. After that, the plan is to use that house under the coordinated access process to house low-income homeless or at risk homeless family in that house. The problem we have right now, of course, is that that house is almost probably about 60% completed in regards to the remediation of it. But I cannot put insurance on that house because right now the land transfer still has to take place. That makes me a bit nervous, of course, when you have a house being remediated that's not insured. So what I told Anthony, our city manager, in regards to the agreement that was put forward and the payments, which I believe works out to about an interest rate of 15% annually, the intent of the TNRC is not to have the city or for us to pay that at that rate. Once the house is transferred to us, the land is transferred, we are able to take out traditional financing to pay off that balance. That's, I believe, is approximately 50,000. But of course, this is a kind of a domino effect. I cannot do any of that stuff until the land is actually transferred to us, where we can then go forward, get the necessary insurance in place, which, as I said, is our main priority right now. And then I can go to our our banker, which I've already had discussions with them, and they are ready to proceed on this. But the hangup right now is that we need to get the land transferred to the TNRC. Until that's done, it puts a lot of things at risk. So I'm here to answer any questions that mayor and council may have as to why they may have any concerns about signing off or approving that agreement. That was drafted by the city, signed off by myself. What the concerns are as to why that agreement is not being passed right now. So,
Thank you. City manager, do you want to have any more content to go with that?
No, Deputy Mayor, I just invited Mr. Saw to come speak to council so that if there's questions that I wasn't able to answer, that he's able to answer on behalf of the organization.
Okay, thank you. So I'll open it. It's fine with process to have council ask the delegation question.
It's your decision if it's through you or directly to you.
Okay, so if you could just maybe ask the chair and then we can ensure that Mr. Saw can answer the questions. So any questions or comments from council? Councillor Wong, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think it's a confusion because the agreement stated very clear what the payment look like, what the interest rate look like, what the amount owing. So after listening to Mr. Shaw explain about the thing behind the scene, which is not in the agreement. To me, I suggest to make it move forward. Why don't all these conditions, which is to say, without the land transfer, they're not able to go to the bank to get the loan to pay off the outstanding. Why not those when those agreement is not in the agreement? To me, I think wrong. If those commitment into the agreement, I think it's no brainer. It means you are fully committed. But when it's not in the agreement, to me, it do not exist. Verbally, it doesn't count because we as a whole, we need to look at what is actual agreement stated. So that agreement did not mention about those things that earlier he mentioned. So if our home Kikiwak willing to change that agreement to that, what he just said, I don't see the issue with that transfer land. But let me be clear. This is a very exception for us to do this step. 10 years is a long time. I seen so many people lost their home and business because they owe tax to the city. We never entertain that way. This is very exception. I think they should appreciate that we're willing to take the step and give them 10 years. That's a long time to pay back the loan. And also those things that just mentioned did not in the agreement. Would that can be changed? If that is, then we can reconsider myself anyway. I can speak for myself. Thank you, Chair.
Any comments back or on this? I'll go to the city manager first. Sure.
Just note that the city uses a standard template agreement, so it's not that we had a special agreement for this sort of situation. So that's why that agreement was what was presented to council. If council wants to direct me differently, then I can do so.
You saw, you have some comments for clarification.
Just two things. One, just to clarify, this will not be with our home Kikina. The legal owner of this house will be the Thompson Neighborhood Corporation. Our home Kikina folded years ago. The type of thing I'll say is that, yeah, we have no intention of going into a 10-year agreement at 15% interest rate. Our intent is just to have the land transferred so we can go get traditional financing and just pay everything out.
Do you want to have one more follow-up?
Yeah, just please,
Okay.
thank you. Yes, like I said, there's not, because earlier when I heard it's like the home Kikiwak proposed this kind of agreement, not from the city pamphlet. That's why I think it's kind of out of range. But now, since the city manager clarified that it's a standard agreement, okay, I accept that. But again, when we sign the agreement, there must be stated everything that we both party agree. I don't want anything that we don't see it and then behind the scene. How do I know they're willing to go and take the loan and pay back? I have no idea based on the agreement. Do any one of you seen that statement? So anyway, Thank you.
So, that's why we are communicating that they're saying they're going to do that, and they're here today to present that to council, because it was council in the city that brought forth the original agreement. Any other comments? Sorry, I think Councilor Chung, you had your hand up first.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't know whether I may ask you this question. You as the director for this, or TNRC or corporation, is it a volunteer service or is it a paid service?
Sorry, just clarify,
Since you are executive director, right? Is that correct?
yeah, I'm the executive director.
Is that a paid service or volunteer service?
That's a paid service.
Paid service.
Yeah, I'm hired as a.
I thought you're very passionate about
Yeah,
put back to the community. But anyway, my concern is because when I see the agreement, I don't know where the signature come from. I don't understand who signed that. So that's my concern. Since you represent the corporation, you should have your name or title in the agreement. That what happened, we don't know tomorrow, right? We wake up tomorrow, we gain 1 day of life, right? It can be said, we wake up tomorrow, we shorten our life by 1 day. But I like to see something down the agreement that something we can go back. Okay, this is signed by so and so person, executive director, right? We don't know what's happened tomorrow. So the city can go and say, well, this is signed by this director, okay? Please commit that. That's all my concern.
City manager?
Yeah, so that, as noted before, is a city template, so that's something that administratively we can look to make a change on the template.
Do you want to comment on that, Mr. Saw?
yeah, I mean, thank you. As the ED, I'm signing, of course, on behalf of the Thompson Neighborhood Renewal Corporation. That agreement with the city will go beyond whether I was there or not, since I am signing as an official of that whole corporation.
Because there's no name down there, I don't know who signed.
Right?
Because there's no name down there.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure about the actual agreement. I recall, I wasn't too sure if there was my title on there. I know I signed off on the agreements. But yeah, that thing can be easily fixed.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to be conscious of time for delegations. We have to stick to our 10 minutes, folks. So Councilor Coburn?
Okay, I won't be that long.
Okay.
You come here complaining that you can't get the land transfer, right? Okay, that's responsibility of the province. We cannot influence the province. As an individual, I can't influence, so we can't influence as a council. So your lawyer is the one who's got to check that out.
No, just for clarification, Councilor Coburn, I'm gonna go to city manager. That's not correct.
No, this is, the agreement has been brought to council a few times. It's been tabled because there's been concerns about how the agreement was written. And there were questions for how the TNRC was going to pay this back over a 10-year period with such a high interest rate. So it's actually, it's an issue between us locally here.
So what are we gonna do? Is the land transferred? Who's the
Council-
land into?
The land is jointly owned by the TNRC and the city, and council has not allowed me to transfer the land yet. That's why I brought Mr. Saw tonight to answer any questions that council might have.
Well, why hasn't council transferred the land? He's willing to pay the money.
Councilor
Right.
Coburn, that's part of why we're here today, because council has not given direction with the consensus to move this forward to do the land transfer, because it gets stopped always with questions and to bring it back. So now the direction has been to bring Mr. Saw in to clarify any of these questions for council. So then we can give direction or not to administration to move forward, to have the agreement signed between both parties, so that the land transfer can happen, so that they can get their financing to pay us back the back taxes.
Well, that's easy to do a transfer. If we get the taxes in there with some kind of writing, that's what we gotta do,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They said we signed the agreement, the basic agreement here with them. So why haven't we signed so that he can go and get his financing, pay our money, get the house going? Right?
Yep.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I just want to note Councilor Oberdorfer has joined us. We need to move on with our rest of our committee, the whole meeting, because we're over our delegation time. So how would you like us to proceed with the information today, City Manager?
I'll be in contact with Mr. Saw tomorrow and see if we can come to some additional paperwork or something to satisfy the council's concerns, but we'll have to have a further discussion on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna move on to, number 5 is our community and comments feedback for committee of the whole. Is there any community or community comments or feedback? All right, we don't have any, so we're gonna move on to reports. 6.1, we have a development report. Our director of development is not here, so is this for information or do you have some highlights?
It's for information, but I can give highlights to council. There's in terms of road renewals, the city's in receipt of the 2024 and 2025 designs, and the tender documents are being finalized. This year's planned road work includes Westwood Drive, Mallard Crescent, Pintail Crescent, Sandpiper, and Seal Road. In addition to any 2023 work that was not completed, which would be on Thompson Drive and Juniper Drive. With respect to the wastewater main renewals, the design drawings are ready to go and Stantec is finalizing the tender. This year's work would include Centennial Drive East, Dominion Bay, Centennial Drive West, Elder Avenue, Confederation Crescent, and the second phase of Westwood. And that second phase of Westwood was already awarded as part of last year's project work. The library air handling unit replacement, that was put up by RFP on Merck's, and the prices were well above the budgeted amount. Therefore, the administration will be meeting with the lead proponent to discuss, to make sure that the RFP was understood when it was bid on. The public safety building envelope assessment, they'll be coming back in April, the consultants, to do further testing during the spring melt season. The TRCC arenas, the ice will be removed from the CA Nesbitt during the week of April 22nd, and the Gordon Beard will be removed following that. Also at the TRCC, city was a recipient of a Manitoba efficiency grant. They'll be replacing the LED lighting in the arenas. It'll take 1 month per arena, so the CA Nesbitt is scheduled for July, and the other one is scheduled for August. During that time, it will not be possible to rent those facilities out. Also, there are 5 permits issued in the month of February for total construction value of 1.2 million. 3 permits issued in March for 427,000. Year to date, there's been 13 permits issued, the total construction value of 5.4 million. And that is the director's report. There's further details if council wants to review attached.
Thank you. So in consideration that the director isn't here, we'll receive this as information today, and any questions in detail can be given to the director at the next committee of the whole. 6.2 is recreation, a memo from the Director of Recreation and Community Services.
Yep, same, the director is not here tonight. There's a recreation programming review for February and for March. The highlights that are in this report are the Winterfest event that was very successful this year. The Royal Manitoba Theatre Center had 127 participants in attendance. There was a successful fundraising hockey game between the Thompson Fire Emergency Services and RCMP versus the Norman North Stars. The director reports that since council has reduced the golden age at the gym from 75 to 60 years, there are now 39 guests or 39 participants in that age group that have taken up that pass and are starting to use the gym. There's a survey currently out on what gym pieces need replacement by the members who use it. And there's a review of the fee advertising structure for the arena boards coming forth. The spring break game room was held in partnership with the Thompson Neighborhood Renewal Corporation. The event was free to the public. Was very successful this year. And the staff at the rec center, several of them attended the Recreation Connections Conference in Winnipeg. They'll be preparing a report to council, which will come forth at the next committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you. So same thing, council will review this, we will take this as information for us. And we will go to 7.1, which is under public safety. So we have a draft mutual aid agreement between the city of Thompson and Valley Manitoba Operations regarding fire response and a Valley mutual aid agreement that was attached for your review. Go to city manager.
Sure, so recently the Office of the Fire Commissioner and the Fire Commissioner himself had come to Thompson on a review of the different fire services as he's touring northern Manitoba. They met with the Pink Lake Volunteer Fire Service, valets, and the City of Thompson's. The commissioner was satisfied with the City of Thompson's status as well as valets, but recommended that the city enter into a mutual aid agreement just to put a legal agreement in place for the services that are provided to each other in the case of a call for mutual aid. Valet had an initial agreement drafted by legal counsel Akins, NLT Akins. The city also uses Akins, but a different lawyer. The two lawyers are now speaking. They're making some tweaks to the agreement, but the initial agreement's attached for council's review. And there's a recommendation that once it satisfies both administrations, will be brought forth for signing, permission for signing by council.
Thank you. Any comments, Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Deputy. Just a quick question. This is just to exchange services and combine services. There's no money exchange for this type of agreement, right?
That's correct. Each party would be responsible for its own expenses. If we call them out, we'd be responsible for the expenses to that fire. If they call us out, then they're responsible.
So in other words, we're not charging you, you're not charging me, that kind of.
That's correct.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other? I do have a comment. I think it's also in the memo worth noting that valet was a part of the McMahon fire. That wasn't listed. And I wonder when the Office of the Fire Commissioner, when he was here and did his tour, it says of the north, was there any conversation or is there going to be about, I don't know if there would be a mutual aid agreement about us with the airport and the expansion and what everything is happening with there? Commander?
Yeah, I've started those discussions with the Office of the Fire Commissioner, so he's aware of that, but those discussions are still ongoing. Because we've asked him to assist us in identifying where we can provide ARF training, which is airport rescue firefighting training. And so we've asked his assistance of his office to get that for our department.
Thank you. Are you looking for direction from council for this agreement, or are you saying it's gonna come back to us once the lawyers tweak it?
Unless there's any issues from council, I'd like a direction just to bring this back at a future meeting of council once both legal teams have finished working it over.
Okay, so can I get a consensus of council, all those in favor of this coming back to us once the agreement is finalized, in favor of that? That's carried. You have direction on that. Thank you. We'll go to legislative. So 9.1 is correspondence from the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. A letter from the Honorable Minister Schmidt. Am I reading this?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can go through.
okay, go ahead.
It's just to let council know and the community know that we've been approved for funding again this year for the blue box or the blue bin recycling program. There's a deposit of $19,064.30 that is going to be made by e-transfer to the city. And I believe typically we then forward this money off to the Thompson Recycling Center for the services that they provide to the community.
Thank you. Any comments from council? And there is some structural changes moving forward with municipalities with recycling that's still in the works and has been for the last few years. We will go to, I just started with this, 9.2, it's Manitoba government is announcing budget day, which is tomorrow.
Yes, just to let council know and the community know that the premier will be announcing the province's budget tomorrow at 2:30. It can be watched as it's live streamed on YouTube as well as on the Government of Manitoba's website. Typically, the administration will watch this and then we'll prepare points for council's consideration as we move forward on our projects and seeing how they're linked to the provincial budget.
Thank you. And also for the public's information, Mayor Smook has been invited by the government to attend, so she will be in attendance tomorrow. Also joining her is Valet will be in attendance and Manitoba Sector Council, and I'm sure there's UCN leadership that will be there also. So we will have a good bunch of people that have been invited from the north. Keep us posted on that, Mayor Smook. We will now go to 9.3 correspondence and request from the Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame. Go ahead, City Manager.
Yeah, so this is a letter that's been received on behalf of Mayor and Council requesting a funding contribution of $600 to support efforts for the Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame as they induct a local Mr. Sam Attila. So they've requested that council contribute $600 towards this event in Winnipeg.
I think, we believe at the last part there, it's for 500 because of our distance.
You're correct, Deputy Mayor. It does say at the end of the letter that because of our distance of travel, they would request 500 instead.
Right. Is there any comments from council on this? Council Wong?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I don't recall we do sponsor this type of, like especially this event. Did we ever historical? I don't recall that.
City Manager?
As far as I know, looking at our CFO, I don't believe we've ever sponsored this. I think this is something new, perhaps because it's a local that's being inducted that they've asked, but I can't recall, neither of us can recall us sponsoring this.
No, I've never seen that.
Mayor
So
Smith?
does that mean that the event is in Winnipeg?
My understanding is the event is in Winnipeg at the Canadians Polo Park. As a provincial event.
And they're asking for $500.
$500, yeah, to sponsor that particular award. Mayor Smook?
Yeah, part of that is that I have been invited to that award, and if there's any counselors going, so. Also Scott Cripps, if anybody knows that name, he is also going to be inducted into that Hall of Fame also. It's definitely, it's something that I'm not sure City Council's been invited to before, but I have in past years to different Halls of Fame. And just considering the amount of work that Sam Attila has put into our curling club and the curling over the years, I really think it's important that we do attend. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager.
Yeah, just to clarify, we've reviewed the letter again here. It's $500 if no one from council is attending, but it's $600, which would include 2 tickets for members of council or the mayor and someone from council to attend.
So it's $600 if we do attend and $500 if we don't attend. Is that correct?
That's my understanding as we look at it here, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for clarification. Any other comments on this? I know for myself, go ahead, Councilor Wong.
Since this is the case, the event is May 5th, right? I think it's worth it to ask around which council will be available at that time at that location. Maybe it's worth it to pay the $600 and get 2 tickets to attend the dinner as well. Because the ticket alone is $100, I believe, if I read it right, it's $100. Yeah.
There is an off chance I may be there for hockey meetings at the exact same hotel, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But I would also like to see if maybe we could follow up with the Brentwood Curling Club to see if maybe we can co-sponsor or see what they're doing to support Sam in this also, instead of it just being on city council. I'm just wondering if it's worth having a conversation with them to see if they're sponsoring anything. Or is this just the city of Thompson? I just looking to see if maybe that's an idea
How
also.
soon do we need to respond to this?
This is gonna go to Councillor Colburn first, if you have a hand up.
Mr. CFO, where does this money come from?
CFO, where would the 600 or 500 come from?
Petty cash.
We don't currently have a receptions and delegations budget or a contribution to any groups outside of the ones that we normally give to. So I would have to create a line item in our operating budget in the legislative year. And if I may, I know in the past, when I was here before, there were several people that were inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I think there was one local person for something to do with hockey. Anyone that attended paid for their tickets, and the city did cover the cost of the tickets, but in my history, that's the first time we've been asked for a loss.
Thanks for some clarification, Councillor Patrick.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not kind of in favor of this because I know Sam is not only in curling, but I mean, he's also been instrumental in hardball and fast pitch as well. So it's not just curling. He's been involved in sports in Thompson for his whole career that he's been here. So he's definitely a member of the community in good standing.
Thank
So
you.
I think this is a good thing personally.
I do have a question for CFO. So instead of having another line item created in the legislative part of the budget, right, in the operating, is it, how, would it be easier if, say, two counselors or mayor and a counselor went and the travel was covered? And they just paid for the $100 ticket, you know what I mean? Would that be simpler? Or are they, I don't know how we can get around this, because it's gonna be a lot of work to create another line item to have that in our operating, we don't already have that.
Okay, so the line item was in the operating, and it still exists in our financial records for historical purposes, but I believe it was eliminated about 3 or 4 years ago. So it would just mean that I would be plugging in a budget for that area for this contribution.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it would just be making that contribution back in and running that as part of the budget.
okay. Okay, so, I'll look for any other comments, sorry. All right, so I'll look for a consensus from council, all those in favor of moving forward with this sponsorship. Put your hand up, if you're in favor of it. All right, so we have direction to move forward with this. That's clear direction.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I'll have a mover to adjourn. Councilor Coburn, Councilor Patrick, all those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Smooth. Thank you, Councilor Oberdorfer, in your summer attire.